This is 7 seconds. All right. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and thank you everyone for. Hey, we're gonna go ahead and call the Earth meeting to order on today is March 4th. It is 4:03 p.m. We'll start with roll call of board members. I don't have my list here. Holly Harris,
Here.
Lori Correa, um, Sterling Wellman is not here. Donna Makowitz is not here, and Angela Amaral, I'm here.
Donna might be here. She might be late.
Okay, all right. All right, so we'll move on to our next agenda item is going to be public input. This is up to 3 minutes per citizen to discuss any item that is within the committee's jurisdiction and is not on the agenda. So come on up to the microphone. If you could state your name for the record. Yes.
Hello, I'm Yolanda Chavez. I'm on the Orchard Shores Homeowners Association Board. Okay? All right. So I'm here to talk about the 48-unit low-income project that they want to do next to Orchard Shores. No one has met with our, I'm sorry? Oh. No one has met with our board or come and asked to meet with the members in our community. So we just kind of found out about this. And we are not okaying this. They need to build these in an area that has affordable access to shopping, where there are buses who can go to many areas, places like, places that they need to build them in are places like Walmart, where they can buy food, clothing, and there are many different scheduled buses there to take them where they need to go, or Lakeport. Another thing is, they're going to have this, they're going to be going through Orchard Shores, and, this is going to bring some unwanted folks to our areas. And, the last time we paid to have our roads fixed, the community there, we paid a small portion of that. And what are they going to be paying? Also they're supposed to have some sort of pond there, and it is called a retention pond in that area that can cause mosquitoes and rats to come in because it dries up kind of in certain parts of the year. And we have a lot of children in the area that are playing and they go roaming around. So we really don't feel like this is the best area for this. The other thing I want to talk about is the 226 storage units that they wanted to build also next to Orchard Shores. We are also against these units near Orchard Shores. It's going to decrease our property values. It will also increase crime and bring unwanted people to our area. The communities, I don't believe, have not been informed of what's really going on. Is there a process that they have to go through to come to our areas and say, hey, we want to do this, what do you think? Or is there a meeting that our communities are going to go through? Because there's 3 areas. I mean, there's the Keys and there's the other area on Sulphur Bank. And so, we're going to try and get out to talk to them to see, hey, have you guys heard about this? Because I'm sure they don't want the area their properties going down in value. So that is it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And just so you know, Yolanda, we can't have any back and forth discussion, but if you want to talk to us afterwards, we can let you know. During public comment, we can't interact, but we can follow up with you after.
All right,
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathy Garner, and I'm a Keys, Clear Lake Oaks Keys is where I live. Wherever I'm at. I'm speaking on behalf of our Peer Center in Clear Lake Oaks. It's been there for a few years, and our homeless people or houseless people seem to be very happy there. Lately, I've been once a week. I'll make a pot of soup or bring in things that they might need, And yes, there's people who leave their trash and things around, but it seems like a lot of people in the Keys are leaving a lot of their trash around too. So we hope that the county doesn't want to shut them down because there's no other services here in our area for them. So that's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Carrie Karkoska. I'm a board member for the Clear Lake Oaks Glen Haven Business Association, and I wanted to talk today about the activities that are coming up for March, and we'd like the community to join us in those. We are currently preparing for our Catfish Derby, which will take place May 15th through the 17th. It's an exciting weekend for our area, and we host approximately 1,000 fishermen on that lake. We are always looking for volunteers to assist us in that event. We also have our monthly dinner scheduled the 26th here at the Moose Lodge. We are excited to have Jim Steele as our speaker this week. And we are updating our dinner format to feature catering from various local restaurants in Lake County. Finally, we are in the process of finalizing the recipients for the 2026 Lower Lake High School scholarships, which will be presented in late May. If anyone is interested in contacting the Business Association, I'm going to leave a little flyer up here with the email on it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Carrie. All right. Any other public comment or public input? Seeing none, we'll move on. Move on to approval of the Earth minutes from December 3rd, 2025? No, from February.
Yep.
Okay, approve the Earth minutes from February 2026. Any comments on the meeting minutes or a motion?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Okay, motion passes. Move on to agenda item number 5. Our guest speakers this evening are with the UC Davis Tahoe Environmental Research Center, which will speak about the Clear Lake Oaks Hypolimnetic Project, which will be installed in Clear Lake around Rattlesnake Island to test its ability to improve water quality. And I see Steve is up here, so I will go. Steve and Steve. Okay, we got two Steves. So we will let you guys go ahead and do your presentation. We're going to move out of the way so we can see it. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, we can go to the table over there.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Steve Camden. I'm construction manager with UC Davis. The project is what we call the oxygenation project. You can't hear me very well. Okay, I will improve. Any show of hands, anybody here never heard of the project before? All right. So as you know, Clear Lake has had water quality issues forever, and it feels like they've gotten worse. We have a treatment method that we think is going to work. We have a pilot project to test out how well it's going to work. It's all grant funded. We hope to be able to go to bid in April. To get started with some of the details, I'm going to turn it over to our project manager, also PhD in water quality, Stephen McCord.
Thanks. You hear me okay? All right. Just say something or gesture if I'm not holding it right. I hear it's a little bit funky with that. So anyway, yeah, I'm Stephen McCord, based in Davis. I've worked in this region a bunch over the last 25 years or so, actually longer than that. I was in school in Davis in the 90s and worked for since 2000 as a consultant, and just recently got employed part-time at UC Davis just for this project. So we just have a few slides to share. I understand that my predecessor, I guess you could call her Alicia Cortez, spoke at this meeting some time ago, maybe a year or two ago. And Steve's been here before as well, so. No? Steve had?
Must be some other meeting.
It could be, okay. Yeah, it could have been at the Water District, yeah, sorry. Okay, in the same area, but anyway, thanks. Well, thanks for inviting us at any rate. So I just have a few slides to share. Some of the pictures will tell a few more words for Steve. And feel free to you know, unlike the board, we can interact a little bit. So we have some time and we want to get some input on the project. So you'll see where it is. So UC Davis has been involved in Clear Lake for several years. There was this project that I found some old papers by Horn and Goldman. I don't know if you recognize the name Alex Horn or Charles Goldman. I was one of Charles Goldman's grad students. And then I was another one of my advisors in graduate school was Jeff Schladow. So he's been working up here since the 90s as well, and kind of started the more recent work. So my predecessors have been involved for lots of time. And there's the Blue Ribbon Committee that got started in 2017, 2019, that area, that time frame. And so UC Davis was doing work under that, and through the Tahoe Environmental Research Center. And some of you may have heard of CLERC, the Clear Lake Environmental Research Center, that was started by the Turk folks when they started doing research here some time ago. So in this last time for the 5 years or so, which during when COVID hit, so you get a sense of the time, we worked a lot with USGS. They were doing a lot of monitoring in the watershed draining into Clear Lake, and then UC Davis, a bunch of students and researchers were doing work on the lake. And they coupled that all together and identified some of the problems in the lake, and not identified them, but some of the ways they could be addressed. So the research was looking at all your favorite classes from high school, physics and chemistry and biology. And with the physics, it was looking at the bathymetry, so that's basically the topography of the lake and the currents and all that. And then the middle photos showing some of the core samples. They took sediment samples and analyzed those for nutrients and what would happen if there was or wasn't oxygen in it and things like that. And then the bottom, the biology, looking at the various algae species and working with some other agencies in the area on that. So it's quite the holistic approach to understand where the water's coming from and going, where the nutrients are from, and what was causing the issues with harmful algal blooms and with mercury in particular. So the findings focusing on the nutrients and harmful algal blooms, what we found was the high phosphorus was the main driver of the harmful algal blooms. By having a high phosphorus concentration, the algae are able to grow in such prolific amounts here. And most of the phosphorus comes from within the lake. It just gets recycled. The algae suck it up, accumulate it, they grow, they die, they sink to the bottom, decompose, and it comes back again later, right? So it's internal cycling is what that's called. And when that primarily happens is when there's no oxygen at the bottom of the lake. Near the sediment bed, you have all that dead decomposing algae, and then the phosphorus in particular dissolves under those conditions. And that gets recycled, and there's food for more algae, and you get another algae bloom, right? So that's basically it. So the key things are phosphorus, and then the graphic over here also shows methylmercury, the form that bioaccumulates in the fish, starts at the base of predominantly in the sediments under anoxic conditions, so when there's no oxygen. So, and wind stirring tends to mix it all up. So that's the fundamental findings from 5 years of work. There's a lot more that went into it, but you get a sense of it from that. And then the Blue Ribbon Committee is entertaining and approving various projects to improve conditions in the lake. The one that the research was saying would be an optimal solution is this hypolimnetic oxygenation. So the hypolimnion is a fancy term meaning the bottom of the lake when it's stratified. In the warmer part of the year, you get warm water on top. Warm water is less dense, so it kind of floats, and the water at the bottom is isolated. It's dark, and there's no sunlight down there. There's no living algae that are photosynthesizing and producing oxygen, and there's no atmospheric exchange for oxygen, and it's isolated. So you get this dark, anoxic water at the bottom, sometimes, or most of the time, but not all the time. And so in monitoring by monitoring the temperature and the oxygen levels and adding oxygen at the bottom, then that would the way this works is it will by controlling adding oxygen to the bottom of the lake, you control those conditions that produce or release the phosphorus and the methylmercury. Yeah, oh, there we go.
So this is a mock-up of the piping system that'll go out in the lake. The top pipe is what we use for flotation. We fill that with water or compressed air to float or sink the system. The bottom pipe is where we put the oxygen in, and then these are the diffuser lines. And then this is the cable down to the anchor. So when it's operating, the system floats about 2 or 3 feet above the bottom of the lake. When it is not operating, it sinks to the bottom of the lake.
So this is the schematic on the bottom there, right? And then this graphic on the upper right is looking down on Oaks Arm with the water district and where the right side of the blue line. So the blue section will just have this hose this one that carries it'll have both. It won't have the soaker hose. They'll deliver the oxygen out there just in a pipe, and then the red lines will have these sections with the diffusers on them. So you push the oxygen out in the pipe, and then that gets pushed out through these hoses. And these are hoses, if you ever use soaker hose, it's just high quality soaker hose. So the bubbles of oxygen come out as very, very fine bubbles. And as they rise towards the surface, the oxygen diffuses into the water. So that's basically how you get dissolved oxygen into the water from these bubbles.
To replace the oxygen that naturally gets used up in that bottom layer. And once we can put that oxygen back into that bottom layer, then you don't have the phosphorus coming back up because you've eliminated the anoxic condition, and you don't have the development of the methyl mercury.
So the right photo is the same figure here. On the lower left, this is a Santa Cruz, right?
This is Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same we're going to do, but we're going to have a larger tank.
Yep.
This kind of system has been installed in about 40 or 50 other lakes across North America. The major difference is that Clear Lake is a really big lake. It's much more shallow than most of the reservoirs used by water districts up in the mountains. So the mixing that happens at this lake is quite a bit different than most of the other places where this is used. So we know it's going to work. We just don't know how well it's going to work or how much it's going to cost. So this pilot project is going to tell us how well it works, and then if it works really well, how much that's going to cost, because it would be an ongoing treatment every season.
You see in words here the status of things for this project. So we're still securing funding. We just got word last night that we got an extra $1 million, which we'll need more than that, but we'll explain that. And then the progress, we're still working on permits with the county. We met with some folks for lunch today at the Water Resources Department. And then the contracting all is coming up. I got another slide on that, on the general schedule.
Yes.
So, sorry? Yeah.
I did not.
May
So
not.
you see that the light blue colored line starts here in Clear Lake Oaks, right at the intersection of Islands Drive and Highway 20. That's where the primary drinking water plant is for the Clear Lake Oaks County Water District. That's where we're going to put the oxygen tank, and that's where the pipe system is going to start.
It'll be a similar size, actually a little bigger than the one shown in the photo there from Santa Cruz. It'll be standing up tall. It'll be about twice as tall as the tanks that are there that you see. They're already pretty big. So it'll be a very noticeable thing. And that'll be rented for the 3-year pilot phase. So you'll see it at least for 3 years, and if the project continues that way, then they'll stay longer.
So on to our timeline.
Yes, the timeline. Just a couple.
We'll wait, let them finish the presentation, and then
Yeah,
we'll.
yeah, just hold the question. It won't be, I just have a couple other things. So broadly, the schedule, so design permitting, contracting's coming up. We're going to put this out to bid for general contractors to bid on pretty soon. Construction will be over, later this year and into the winter of next year. So around this time next year, we should have it completely constructed. Operate it next dry season, so not 26, but 27. Operate it for probably 2 years, and then see where it goes. So we're in discussions with the county about taking over ownership of it, because University of California is not the best owner of a oxygenation system in Clear Lake. That's not what the university's for, just for long term. So there's transition ownership there. And then all along, we're doing outreach and monitoring and reporting. This is an example of
That's
outreach.
one thing that I wanted to make sure everybody understood, is that the monitoring and the science hasn't stopped. It started in 2018,
Yeah, 18, 19.
and it's going to continue, it's continuing now. We still have the sensors out in the lake, and it'll continue until we're done in 2 years. And possibly, if we can find funding, it'll continue beyond that.
Last sort of information, so the main goals for the lake rehabilitation in our project are these: assessing various solutions, trying out and assessing various solutions over the next few years, and avoiding the harmful algal blooms and the associated fish kills and all in Oaks Arm, and then supporting the local economy and uses. So with the project going on, we're working with Big Valley Rancheria and Lake County staff for a lot of the monitoring and other work going on in the watershed. So anyway, that's all I want to share, and also thanks to our partners. All these different logos are organizations, agencies, and all that are working on Clear Lake, and we meet monthly through a couple committees and quarterly with the Blue Ribbon Committee to keep everybody apprised of stuff and trying to work together. So that's all we had to share.
So some questions?
Yeah, there was the one online. You want
Sweet.
to touch on it first?
I had one of our council members who couldn't be here tonight asked if we could ask 2 questions from you. And one of the questions is, why are we not considering dredging the lake bottom as a solution by removing the problem?
That's beyond the scope of our particular project. Our particular project is the oxygenation project, because we know that that will work because it's been done on other lakes. Dredging is, I want to say there were like 16 or 18 different projects that were submitted to the Blue Ribbon Committee. They selected 13, and strangely enough, a dredging project wasn't one of them. So I really don't know why, and I don't know how effective that would be. Do you want to take a crack at that?
Sure.
We also can make reference to it as far as EPAs.
Okay, great.
We have looked at dredging.
Great.
It's-
So these are
Okay, so our
USC
friends from US EPA over at the Superfund site have looked at dredging.
Extraordinarily expensive and uncertainty in outcome.
Uncertain outcome and extremely expensive.
the short answer. Very good one. Thanks.
Thanks. Then the second question was, our lake is unique and very different from other lakes. Since the lake is wind-driven, when the nitrogen starts mixing up in the sediment and you start pumping in oxygen, when you start feeding the phosphorus, what are the chances the bloom would get worse rather than better?
When a wind event comes up, our monitoring stations let us know, and since our control system is web-enabled, we turn the oxygen off so that only the oxygen that's already there is mixed up. The key point, though, is that by preventing the anoxic condition in the lower strata of the water, you don't have the phosphorus being mixed into the water. The phosphorus stays down in the bottom of the lake. The phosphorus only gets loaded into the lake water during that anoxic condition at the bottom of the lake. So if we can prevent that from happening, then it doesn't matter how much the lake mixes when there's a wind event.
Another thing to visualize what's happening when the oxygen gas is coming out of the soaker hose, it's quite quiescent. The bubbles aren't rising up so fast and so large that they mix the water, so it doesn't change the stratification. They slowly rise, these little bitty bubbles, and just exchanging oxygen with other gases in the water. Yep. And then
So
over here,
almost like a bubble system in a fish tank.
Well, in the
Really
fish
light
tank,
bubbles.
those are just air bubbles. So
Right.
And the purpose of those is just to mix the water. So this is not like that because the bubbles are so much smaller, they rise so slowly, they don't mix the water. They do a little bit, but not enough to break up that stratification.
And their
Okay.
oxygen.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but
All
good
right.
point.
And then, looks like we've got a
Yeah,
few
so-
hands. So we'll go ahead and open it up for, how many do you have online? Okay. Okay, yeah, we're gonna go up to the microphone, and if you can state your name, and we're gonna do the 3-minute. Yeah, let's go ahead and start with Betsy while Tom walks up. We'll go ahead and start with Betsy online, and you'll have 3 minutes. Betsy, go ahead.
I also want to let everybody know we'll be here after the meeting for additional questions.
Yeah, we're not, we can hang out.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you, Angela. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you, Betsy, thank you.
Great. I want to say hi to Stephen. He is the most knowledgeable person about this environment that I have ever met here, and I've met hundreds of great people that are working on this. I'm so glad you're on this project. My question has to do with Rattlesnake Island. When I read the agenda and I saw that Rattlesnake Island was mentioned, it's the first I heard of that in terms of the presentations. I followed it, maybe I missed it at the Blue Ribbon Committee. What does Rattlesnake Island have to do with it? And how will you be monitoring the impact around the area where Rattlesnake Island is involved? Because it's a special kind of ecosystem there. Thank you.
You want me to take this, or you gonna take it? So for starters, the picture that's shown for the layout is a little off. We do come around Rattlesnake Island, but we don't go into the deeper section of the lake in the lower arm quite like this. And then the oxidation piping is going to be down in the lake bottom, so there really won't be any interaction with what's on Rattlesnake Island. It's just the water around the lake in the lower arm, or I mean in the Oaks Arm.
Yeah, so it's just we got to get from the shore source tank around that to the deeper area. So just
Which is where the currents that they mapped out in the last couple of years will allow it to mix better. Hope that answered the question.
Thank you. All right, go ahead, Tom.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I think I know the answer to my first question, but I just want to confirm. This project is not, the oxygenation doesn't actually bind the phosphorus permanently. It's just, it
Correct.
just thwarts the cycle
Exactly.
temporarily until, okay. And the other question I have is, what is the range of effectiveness? You've got two, looking at the map there, you've got two red lines. Is that going to be the limit of the effectiveness? Does it spread out, by how much? Is it going to, impact the whole lower arm, the whole lower lake, the end of the universe? What's the?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So in recommending this technology here, the researchers with the Tahoe Environmental Research Center, they simulated that. So they have a model, a three-dimensional model that runs at like 15-minute or hourly time steps with weather and all this stuff. So it tracks how water moves around over the depth through the whole lake. They only ran it for a few weeks because it's just, it takes days to simulate a few weeks. It's that complicated a model, right? So, and they found during that period that if you align them roughly like these are, then the currents will turn them, carry that water, the oxygenated water around, and you'd have enough oxygen in Oaks Arm when you need it throughout the dry season, let's call it.
So just to clarify, the expectation is that that whole arm would benefit from those two lines?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And the sensor buoys we have in place are going to be monitoring exactly how well that works, because that's one of the deliverables of this pilot project.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. We put out these buoys with submerged floats, and you can measure the temperature and oxygen at different depths. And we put them out all last season for like 6 months, for June through November or something like that. So we can track that over time. We'll have another one that's live with a buoy on the surface with a telemetry, so we can see from the computer what the oxygen levels are there at different depths and turn the system up and down, that kind of thing.
Due to the shallow depth of the lake, have you mitigated risk to damage to your equipment, boat anchors and whatever crossing over it?
Yeah, that's
Good
probably our biggest risk, which we need help from all of you. This is why we do community outreach. To reach out to the boaters, to reach out to the fishing derbies and the tournaments. When we install the pipe system, most of it is going to be right along the bottom, and it's pretty deep already, probably below where anchors are going to be. The portion that is oxygenating when it's working is going to be floating 2 or 3 feet above the bottom, right exactly where catfishermen like to troll. So we're going to GPS those locations. We're going to have a big sign at the boat ramp that's going to have those GPS locations and warning buoys to show where not to troll. And we'd like to share those GPS locations with different fishing tournaments so they can put the no fishing zone into their rules for the Derby. And that way, with enough communication, enough outreach, we hope that the fishermen can learn where it's at and avoid it.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to have some
With-
surface buoys that are lighted, and those also will have the QR code that leads you to the GPS coordinates and the information about the system. Now the downside to that is that these wonderful, lovely little bubbles, they put more oxygen in the lake, which is what lots of the bugs like, and then the fish like the bugs. So if you want to find fish, you follow the bubbles.
Don't tell them that.
Hey, Steve, we're gonna need you at the microphone because we have people online.
Yeah.
Right.
Suggestion, why don't you just put a sign saying no anchors or anything like that? No one's gonna go up to the buoy and
Yeah, it's going to be signed that way, absolutely. And we're also going to put a big
Yeah.
sign up at the boat ramp that has that same information.
Hi, I'm Sally David. If this whole project works, are you planning or thinking of doing the whole lake, or is it just this arm?
One of the goals is to see how well this would scale up for the rest of the lake. Steve, you better handle that one.
Yeah, so I mentioned the three-dimensional model that that simulated the benefits of it in Oaks Arm. That same model can be used in other areas. So yeah, once we learn from experience how well it works there, and make sure the model was representing it well, we could do the same thing and say, how well would it work in other arms, and how much would it cost, and all that. So yeah, that's definitely a part of it, to understand how well it works here, and what would it cost, and what would be the benefits of expanding the rest of the lake. Yep.
Okay. When I'm looking at, I don't think it's that picture, the one with the keys, are you planning to put this pipe down through the keys area? Or
The pipe that we're going to put in the lake starts
Just
at
in
the
the lake.
oxygen tank at the water plant.
Right.
And it runs out the pier at the water plant and goes into the lake there,
To the bottom.
to the bottom. And then it runs along the bottom until we get to the diffuser section.
But it won't go into the canals that,
No, it won't. Now,
would that be a problem? Or, I mean, it would be a problem, but any plan for the future to help?
well, so
The short answer is no, but I get what you're getting at is why couldn't we put oxygen there? That could be a solution for the Keys in that waterway, but that's not the project that we're doing.
right. Now, we happen to know some experts who have some ideas, so if you want to visit with them, they can discuss with you some other ideas on how to improve the lack of water flow in the Keys.
Okay. Last question. Are you working with other projects that are working on ideas for the lake? You know, like the fish and the tribal is doing a special project. Are you working with them also, or is that?
Those are all the partners, and it's mainly through the Blue Ribbon Committee. So it includes representatives from around the lake and agencies and all. And there's a couple subcommittees, a socioeconomic one and a technical one, and I attend most of those monthly meetings, and we update. So everybody's updated about the projects that are going through that. So
Our project is the closest to implementation, and being first means that we don't have a lot of other people to lean on, but that also means that they're coming to us with their questions. So yes, we're doing our level best to share what we learn in the process.
Okay, and is your main offices at the old library in Lakeport? Or, I know there's some from the university there.
Those folks aren't there anymore. Clerk is using that, but Clerk is no longer associated with UC Davis. So we're all based on the Davis campus, except for a few of the Tahoe environmental research folks who are based at Tahoe.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hi, David Pearson. What are the side effects of having too much oxygen from the system being introduced into the lake, and what would the mitigation for that be?
It's hard to imagine it could happen in this case. By throttling the oxygen, the concentrations won't be saturated. So we could always add more oxygen. It's hard to imagine we could overcome that much demand for oxygen in the water. So it's not a realistic concern in this case. Even in others, like there are other technologies, and aside from the line diffuser, as this one's called, there are other ways where you can take water out, saturate it in a chamber, and put it back. And under pressure, the saturation. So just for comparison, low oxygen, when I refer to anoxic, we want to keep it above 3.5 milligrams per liter, so 3.5. Good water is more like 8 milligrams per liter or above, up to like 15, it depends on the temperature, but something like 12, 15 milligrams per liter is saturated, depends on the conditions. You can put in 80 milligrams per liter in the bottom, and I've never heard of a negative consequence of that. It'll diffuse because of the gradient, just like if it's hot right here and cold here, that heat moves, right? So oxygen does the same kind of thing. It diffuses and mixes and all. So I just can't envision it to be a problem. And the organisms, just like they can avoid thinking fish, just like they can avoid water that has super low concentrations in various ways, like they won't go down now, they won't go deep because there's no oxygen, they stay up high, they just move. It only takes them a minute, right? So the same kind of thing, if one happens over the line, the bubbles, and it's too much oxygen, they just swim away. It's not gonna kill them in a minute, kind of thing. So.
And the oxygen is normally in the water. What we found is that lower layer of water, when it loses its oxygen, that's when bad things happen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, I'm Susan Burton. I've been following this. My husband's on the Clear Lake Oaks Water Board, so I've been following it, and I think it's going to be great. There are some things that we need to know about. I'm also a member of the Clear Lake Oaks Business Association, and every year we have our huge catfish derby, which is a big event, usually around 1,000 people fish out there. So what my concern at this particular moment when you mentioned this was you're not going to be starting until this summer, right? It's the layout when you're going to do it. Ours is in May. I'm going to go to that. We have a May date of 14th through the 17th, 18th for fishing. Is this the year we need to tell them, or?
Next year.
Next year, we'll prepare. We can be prepared by then.
Yeah.
Although it's good to know it ahead of time so we can at least start telling the ones, these are families that come back every year. We can just start verbally letting them know of a few things that will change for next year.
Right. That QR code will take you to the information. Please share that with all
Absolutely.
of your regulars. And by the time your derby comes around next year, we'll have the GPS coordinates for the pipe system, which we'd like you to put into your tournament rules as a no fishing zone. It's only a little narrow strip.
Right.
And since most of the guys use GPS for their trolling motors, once they program that into their computers, we think most of them will just go right around it.
It gives us a year to prepare them. That's great. Thank you.
I'm James Evans. I'm a resident of the Oaks. Will the oxygen diffuse into the canals in the Oaks?
So that's it's sort of in the corner there, past the marina, right? Or not the marina, the launch.
Not by, no, but into the canals and the keys.
I wouldn't expect that much. The main reason is the water's not flowing in and out, right? It's not like a tidal system,
Right.
was my first thought, that yeah, it would, but the water's just stagnantly there. So it wouldn't diffuse over that far. I wouldn't expect broad, the benefits in terms of the oxygen getting into there. You might have benefits anyway, just because the water that does slosh in and out could be better. But that's a bit of a stretch to expect it would have a benefit there, because that's water just coming from the watershed, right? And then it's just stagnant because it's not flowing half the year.
Yeah, the problem there is that the water in the canals is stagnant, whereas the water in the lake, the wind pushes it to that west corner, and then it actually rolls down underneath the bottom and circulates back around. So the wind allows for some circulation within the lake, but it doesn't reach into the keys.
Okay, so it's just not going to help with the algae in the canals?
Yeah, afraid not. You're gonna have to look for some other solution, but like I said before, I happen to know some experts.
Hi, George Wong, Orchard Shores Homeowner Association. Listen, I was looking at the oxygenation method, and my understanding from the chemistry is that one of the byproducts is calcium peroxide. That you know, there's a byproduct of that. And then I was also looking at in some other studies where, maybe in a limited view, that eventually this calcium peroxide may oversaturate the sediment, therefore reducing the reuptake of phosphate using the oxygenation method. So I'm kind of curious as to whether this pilot program is going to have a study in that parameter to look at that, because it would reduce the efficacy of the oxygenation if the calcium peroxide starts to saturate the sediment. And also in some of your other, I'm sure others are doing this also, but have you found that issue ever come up in some of the other studies or pilots that maybe you have looked at?
Short answer is no. I've never heard of calcium peroxide and related to oxygenation. But I'd like to see the studies you're talking about.
Okay.
So yeah. Broadly, that's the idea is that you're adding oxygen near the sediment bed. Some of that you want to diffuse into the sediment. So you're commonly overdosing the oxygen so that you get some diffusion into the sediment. And there's a lot of what's called demand, or biochemical oxygen demand, BOD, maybe you've heard of that term with sewage and all. There's the same sort of biochemical processes in the sediment. So you want some oxygen to diffuse into the sediments. So the calcium peroxide, though, I've just never heard of that as an issue. So, and if it consolidates the sediment, that would be a good thing, because that slows the diffusion. So that's often a good goal, is to have some sort of oxygenated cap on the sediment, then whatever else is below it has a harder time diffusing through it.
I think that's what the study was referring to, that perhaps maybe when it gets oversaturated with the sedimentary layer of calcium peroxide, that it would cake on top and render the reuptake or the uptake of phosphorus harder to do.
Yeah.
And pumping more oxygen in it probably will not really make it more efficient, okay, because of the sedimentation problem, that saturation that's happening. So that's, you know, it was something that I read in about 3 studies, just as I was looking on my phone, and so I just thought I'd bring that up, and was wondering if maybe that was one of the parameters in your pilot study that maybe you may be looking at as a study, since it's going to be about a 2-year pilot.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll be monitoring the oxygen levels, the nutrient levels, the methylmercury levels, and the bioaccumulation and all that. So there will be pretty comprehensive monitoring associated with the project. Yeah.
Okay.
And I would say that's the sort of time frame, though, for the sediment effect. It usually takes on the order of a couple years to solidify the sediments. Clear Lake, is the other Steve mentioned, is a little unique in that it's so shallow and so windy, just like today. It's always super choppy on the lake if you did. That tends to stir it all up. So whatever consolidation you get, here you get those big winds that stir it up. So it's a little harder to have that benefit in this lake.
So is the Clear Lake bottom continuing to settle deeper?
Is it what?
Is the bottom of Clear Lake, is it settling deeper, or is it static now?
What I've heard, and I haven't checked with anybody recently, but what I've heard from geologists is that the bottom of the lake is slowly sinking at about the same rate as the sedimentation that's coming into the lake.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so it continues to sink. Okay, all right.
Well, it sinks and then more comes in.
Right.
So it stays around roughly the same level, yeah.
And like Steve said, I mean, we would definitely like to get he would definitely like to get those references so he can double check. But in order to get that level, I don't think that level of oversaturation is possible because two things. When the wind kicks up, we're going to turn the system off. And the volume that we're talking about is so huge that to get to that level of saturation is probably well beyond the capacity of this system.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for your time.
You got another? Okay. Okay. Betsy, is there, well, let me just check real quick. Is there anybody else that wants to have questions or comments?
I have one.
Okay.
I was just curious, what's your criteria for success?
Good question.
Oh, your microphone is off.
Back on. Test, test, test.
Right.
Better. Okay. That it's successfully adding the oxygen that we input to it. So we need to learn how efficient it is. This is a shallower system than others, so we're going to be buying deliveries of liquid oxygen, pumping it in a lake, and we have a simulation model that we're setting up to calculate exactly the efficiency of the transfer of oxygen, so we'll be able to monitor that. We want to know if we can throttle it so we can optimize how much oxygen we deliver so we don't buy too much, and waste it.
So it's not like a reduction in blooms or anything?
I was going to get to that,
Okay.
And we have the dissolved oxygen sensors.
Yeah, we'll have sensors, right. So there's the baseline is that it's doing what we anticipate it doing. And then the next one is it's having the effect that you anticipate. So the effects are reduced algae blooms, so concentrations of harmful algae, and harmful can mean there's just too much and you have associated fish kills and all. And the toxins that are in the water. So we with our partners, will be monitoring toxin levels, and also with USGS, they'll be monitoring the nutrients. So we see if the nutrients are getting there, which is the food for the algae, and the algae concentrations and all that. So yeah, it's pretty comprehensive monitoring to see if it works like we anticipated.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to go back to Betsy on Zoom since Betsy's not here and can't ask questions after the meeting like we all can. So go ahead, Betsy.
She does know how to find
Thanks,
me, though.
Angela. I just wanted to comment, the question was asked about dredging. And my understanding, and correct me of course if I'm wrong, my understanding is that dredging would release more phosphorus because it would loosen the top 10 centimeters of the soil, which contains the most recent addition of new phosphorus from the runoff. So it's just not practical because you don't want to stir it up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's definitely a piece of it. The other is that it's not like the surface of the lake bed is higher concentration of phosphorus. So if you remove that, then the next layer of sediment still has phosphorus in it. So it'd do the same thing. So you'd be removing some mass of phosphorus, but there's more right below it. So you're just making it a little bit deeper.
Did Alex Forrest have his students calculate how long it would take to dredge the bottom of the lake?
Yeah, so Alex Forrest is a principal investigator. He's a researcher in charge of all this. He threw out a number of like hundreds of years. So if you
Specifically, he said 800 years.
Yeah, 700, 800 years. Yeah. I think it was just a bit of a swag, but regardless, the point is the source of the phosphorus getting into the food web and the algae and all comes predominantly from the sediments, not from the inflows. So you're not getting rid of the sediments by excavating, you're getting rid of the surface cap, and then there's more under it. Yeah, Carter?
Just one more as a point of example.
Hold on one second, let's get you a microphone. We have people online and they can't hear, so here you can, oh, there.
Thanks.
Just as another point of reference, there's another Superfund site in upstate New York on Lake Onondaga where they did do a major dredging operation because they had highly contaminated sediments. I think the total cost on that was something like $800 million, and that's a lake that's like a fifth the size of Clear Lake. So it just puts into perspective, it's just prohibitively expensive unless we knew it was going to be incredibly effective, which we do not know and do not think is going to be the case.
And can you do me a favor, can you just state your name for the people that are online and watch the video?
Sure, yeah, I'm Carter Jessup. I'm EPA's lead project manager on the Sulphur Bank mine.
Thank you, Carter.
Thank you, Carter.
All right. All right, well, I think with that, if anybody has any other questions, I think these wonderful gentlemen will be sticking around afterwards. And I want to thank Steve, and Carter for getting all this information to us.
That's fine.
So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And Steve, if you can give us a copy of the presentation that you showed so we can put it on our website so people can go through it, that'd be great. Thank you. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to our next agenda item is going to be E.R.T.H business. We'll start with an update and consideration of E.R.T.H activities, projects, and housekeeping items. Huh? Did I miss something?
No, that's
Okay.
At the last E.R.T.H meeting, there were two questions.
Into the mic.
Oh, sorry. At the last, I know you told me to. At the last meeting, there were two questions regarding the scope of public input and whether the public comment period could be on any topic or just topics within E.R.T.H's jurisdiction. So we sent an inquiry to Lloyd Guintanvano, who's the county counsel, and he sent us the following response. He said, public input for items not on the agenda is restricted to matters within the subject matter jurisdiction of E.R.T.H. Under Government Code, every agenda for regular meetings shall provide an opportunity for members of the public to directly address the legislative body on any item of interest to the public before or during the consideration that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body. And he said, in light of this and E.R.T.H's narrow advisory purpose, an alternative to a public commenter who wants to speak on something outside of E.R.T.'s jurisdiction may be to speak at a meeting of another body who has broader subject matter jurisdiction. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that. I had a couple of other things here. Clear Lake Oaks Community Water District, at the February meeting, Diana Mann gave an overview of the wastewater treatment plant grant project and mentioned that there's one upcoming for the water treatment plant. That's now online. And for public comment, a copy of that is on the table back there. And this includes upgrades to distribution pipelines, storage tanks, and pumping stations. It's a $36 million grant to increase storage, improve efficiency, and conserve water, and comments are due by 3/16. Any questions?
Any questions? All right, go on up to the microphone. State your name, please, Tom.
Good evening, or good afternoon, Tom Lasik. This is on the comment about the jurisdiction. I think we're getting into, and I know all of you guys, so please, I know you're great, and I think this Eastern Region Town Hall is just full of some of the best people in the county, but this is the only town hall that has gotten that persnickety. And it only applies, this jurisdictional conversation, if it's enforced. And if I was to go back into last month's meeting, there were many comments that the board made, or the town hall board made, and others made that were outside this jurisdiction that were relevant and good to know. So just going from north to south, there was discussion about Lake Pillsbury. It's not in your jurisdiction. Anderson Marsh, not Anderson Marsh, Middle Creek Restoration, Upper Lake, Lucerne, Nice, things that are in the Supermac that is not in the ERST jurisdiction were discussed. The Clear Lake sewage spill, BLM, tribal lands. There was and these are just from my memory, there was a code enforcement sheet that came up that some of it was in the jurisdiction, and there was a whole bunch that wasn't, yet it was discussed. And I think that's great. I think that's important. I think those are things that are useful for this community. And if we're gonna be that way, well, then you can't talk about the county fair. You can't talk about something that might be going on that is of interest to this group, such as the mobile home parks. There's a bunch of stuff going on with the mobile home parks here that you know about, but there's a lot of activity in the one that's in the Upper Lake area and also in the Lakeport area. And I think the community here would probably be interested in knowing about that. We're adults here. We're not talking about sports scores or, the Real Housewives of fill in your blank or, what's going on in Greenland or whatever. We're talking about what happens in our community. And this is the only one that has tried to stifle conversation about things of interest in our area and in our community. I don't want those things to stop. I do want to know about Lake Pillsbury. I do want to know about Anderson Marsh, Middle Creek Restoration. And I think the people here would benefit from that as well. And to say, well, you can't talk about those things because it's not strictly in your jurisdiction. Well, you're actually not a jurisdictional body, just so you know, because you are an area of support. So we're adults here. We don't have to go through that level of.
Okay, that's the time right there. I'm gonna
Finished.
go ahead and stop you there.
All right.
If I can just
No, hold
answer
on.
that.
No, hold on. No, wait, this is,
Yes.
I gave you the
okay.
3 minutes.
So,
And I'm not gonna get into this deep, long conversation about this. If there's concerns about it, I recommend reaching out to Supervisor Crandall. It got brought to our board, we reached out to county council, and that's the answer that we got. I don't think this discussion needs to go farther. If Supervisor Crandall would like to chime in on this, but I think that we've done our due diligence in reaching out. It was brought to our attention, that's what we did. But we've given you the 3 minutes to speak on how you felt about it.
I also wanted to say, I think you're misunderstanding the entire thing. Basically, what we had down here and what we have said in the past is during the public comment period where we can't comment on anything. So we haven't been saying anything. We haven't been bringing up Pillsbury. This was only during the public comment period at the beginning where we can't respond. We want it to be on local issues.
Oh, all right, thank you.
Boggles my mind.
Go ahead.
Okay. We received a copy of a letter that was sent out to property owners in Clear Lake Oaks. I'd love to find out if anybody else has gotten it. It's from Hexagon Energy, and it's soliciting land leases for geothermal development over in the Orchard Shores area. The letter stated, and a copy of it is in the back there, we are a small privately owned renewable energy company based in Charlottesville, Virginia. Based on your property's underlying geology and access to electrical infrastructure, our team is interested in leasing the subsurface of your land for a geothermal energy project. What I wanted to say is there is no geothermal energy project, and if there was one, you would have heard about it because it takes a long time to go through. If there is a project that evolves, it may not be this particular company, and property owners may have signed away their rights to the things below, meaning that these people would then become the middlemen. We don't know how many letters were sent out, so please mention this to people. And I didn't know if anybody else here got that letter? No? Okay, so it's not a blanket one. That's good to know. Oh.
Go on, Carter, we've got to get you a microphone. That's okay.
Just for situational awareness, there's a company named E.G.X, which I guess just came to
Yeah, we spoke about them last time.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. No, I think we're being targeted by lots of geothermal. Okay. Then one of the other things I wanted to mention was 211 and 211lake.org, which is a Lake County informational and referral services. It's a free, confidential information that connects people with health and human resources. Basically, it includes quick links to food distribution locations, to Lake County OES, disaster resources, et cetera. And basically, if you dial 211, you can get help and information from people. I put a notice on that on each one of the tables there, if anybody is interested in looking at that. Let me see. Then the other thing, Mountain View. I'm pleased to say that Mountain View Road was cleaned up 1.5 weeks ago. And basically it was 360, I know, 360 hauling removed 60 yards of trash and cleaned up everything from Stubbs Road all the way to High Valley Road. We asked Supervisor Crandall to speak with County Council about getting gates installed on both ends before trash starts appearing again. And so they're looking into that now. And then lastly, on this portion of it, we have a District 3 election right now. As many of you are aware, this is an election year. And the District 3 supervisor seat is up for re-election. Filing closes on Friday. At this moment, we have 3 candidates that are running. Our current Supervisor Crandall is running for re-election. Then we have Julia Carrera of Upper Lake and Danielle Santopietro of Lucerne. Primary is June 2nd. If one candidate receives 50% plus 1 vote, then the election ends in June. Otherwise, it will go to November. The key dates are May 4th. The vote by mail ballots go out. May 18th is the last day to register to vote, and then June 2nd is the election.
All right. So then the land use subcommittee that we had started with Lori and myself. So we reached out to East Lake School. I'm sorry, road committee. Land use road, okay, the road safety committee. Oh, wait, I'm doing land use.
Yeah.
Oh, land use recommendations, what did we have for land use? I'm way ahead.
County investment.
Yeah, okay. So we did, you guys will remember when Marcus Beltramo was here and he requested that we submit the cannabis violations to him through a code enforcement request. So we did that. We did 2 projects, the 2 major violators in our area, and those are submitted to code enforcement with all of the attached documentation. So we haven't received, they've received it, they're looking at it, and that's what we know right now.
Well, actually, on the Lake County Investment Group,
Oh, yeah.
basically, we put together a letter, per our Land Use Committee guidelines. If something comes up in between EARTH meetings, with a deadline before an EARTH meeting, then we go and take a look at the project. We put together a draft letter, and then we give it to the other council members for approval or not approval or whatever. So anyway, we received a request for review for the Lake County Investment Group Cannabis Project. Now, that's the project that's on Highway 53, that's right up close to the road, that they're growing in bags, et cetera. Now, that is not technically in EARTH, it's across the road, but it's part of the shoreline area plan, which is our region. It's a 5-acre cannabis grow currently operating, and they are trying to expand to 11.9 acres. So we looked at the project. It's in the Scenic Combining District, and it looked like they were moving it closer to the road. So we said to them, to please take a look at this and make sure that everything is, follows the Scenic Combining District. We did voice concern on their proposal to remove 457 blue oaks that have a trunk size of 6 to 18 inches. In order for them to grow in bags. They had originally proposed replanting 1,371 oaks, but they have minimal details in the plan, and their current replanting on Highway 53 between the highway and their thing is not very successful, as you can see. Anyway, the comments were due on February 19th. We recirculated the draft letter to council members. It was approved by a majority of 4 with 1 non-response. So we submitted it to CDD, and a copy of it is located on the back for anybody that wants to see that.
Okay. And then for the Land Use Committee, if you recall, last year at the February meeting, Richard Kuhn had requested that EARTH agendize the storage unit proposal for the March meeting. In the interim, he met with the Land Use Committee and asked that the item not be put on the March agenda. So he's postponed it. So that will be coming back at a later date. All right, anything else for the Land Use Committee? No. Okay, now Road Safety Committee. So we started the Road Safety Committee, Lori and myself. We reached out to East Lake School to see how we could help them in the interim while we're waiting for Caltrans to start doing some work in that area, which I think is slated for 2027, I think. It's a ways out. So we reached out to the principal and we asked what they thought about an LED stop sign on a telescoping pole that will allow them to hold the stop sign up higher than a vehicle so that cars behind it could see it. The principal, how do you say her last name? Talafieri. Sorry, Jessica, I know I'm murdering your last name. So we asked which one they would prefer, a handheld paddle or one on the telescoping, if they thought that would help. They like the one on the telescoping pole. So we are recommending that E.R.T.H look into purchasing the stop sign. It's LED flashing lights on it. It's an 18-inch sign. They also make a 24-inch. But with the telescoping pole, we come out with, it's about $255 and a 20% discount for the first order. So that's the price that we're looking at to purchase this sign for East Lake School.
Do you have any
Does
comments?
anybody have any questions or comments about it? Buy it? Kathy, you wanted to come up onto the microphone? I gotta buy it.
Kathy Garner, Clear Lake Oaks Keys, and I say buy it. I stopped, CHP was by the school yesterday and stopped and chatted with him. And I said, nothing's different. I've been retired 17 years and driving my bus. I mean, nothing's changed. Well, something's changed, but by the time those people get to the school, they don't care about the flashing light and the big truck especially. So anyway,
Yeah.
he was there watching, so that was good.
We're just
So
hoping
I
that
say
with the
buy it.
big flashing sign that they can hold it up and catch people's eye. Okay, so do we need to vote?
Yeah, I'll make a oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It's okay, stay right there.
Sally David. On this pole, you might make sure how much it weighs.
It's aluminum, so it's pretty light. So, yeah, we did check on that. Thank you. Okay, so then I will entertain a motion to move forward with the sign, if that's the will of the board. Oh, I need you to go up to the microphone, Steve. Thank you.
Are you just getting one or two?
We'll wait till you get to the microphone.
Are you getting one or two?
We're just getting one because there's only one crossing guard.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be on a tripod, right?
No, it's a handheld so that when they're walking and the cars are stopped in each direction, that they can see the stop sign moving above the vehicles. So the crossing guard is gonna walk across with the stop sign. They already have an A-frame that they put out there.
Yeah, I saw that, it's
Yeah.
only this tall. but
Yeah. So-
My thought was, if you have it on a tripod and it's sitting out there, possibly on the side of the road in that easement area, that could be, and it's sitting out there, you can get a, one that they can just lower, fold in, and take into the school. But that may get more attention, and they can attach a battery to it or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think we run into a problem with that because then it's like, it's still portable, but it's semi-permanent, and there's some confusion about what we can do when it comes to the highway. So I think that's why, like right now, they hold up the stop sign, they have the little paddle. But it's small, people really don't see it, and they can't hold it up high enough.
Okay, something's better than nothing.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion if someone wants to make a motion to move forward with the sign.
Okay, so I make a motion that E.R.T.H come up with the $250 or whatever it is dollars out of our budget and present it to the school.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we will get that done. We'll move on to our next agenda item is going to be our D3 MAC update.
So we are now scheduling a first joint public District 3-wide municipal area council meeting. So that will be E.R.T.H, SERTH, and WORTH, covering Upper Lake, Lucerne, and Clear Lake Oaks. It's going to be held at the Alpine Senior Center in Lucerne on Wednesday, April 29th from 5:30 to 7. The meeting's going to be hosted by Supervisor Crandall, and it will include an overview of the MACs, community survey of issues on the North Shore, in basically mini sessions on illegal dumping, the copter program, universal garbage, cleanup days, health of the lake, Highway 20 improvements, rent stabilization, economic development, benefits of the MAC working together. What we hope to do is then also have roundtables for specific questions on code enforcement, law enforcement, parks and recs, public works, et cetera. The meeting is going to be televised, and refreshments will be available, and we would love to get a large turnout from people to come up there.
This will be announced
Yeah.
on our website, on our Facebook page. It will be, I think they're talking about maybe flyers. There'll be flyers on each MAC will be announcing
All
it.
across District 3, you know, so.
All right. General plan, local area plan update.
Okay. So the draft Lake County General Plan and the local area plans are now available for review through the end of April. The local area plan for Earth was originally called the Shoreline Area Plan, but they've now renamed it to the East Lake Area Plan. It originally spanned from Lucerne all the way over to the Colusa border and then down to Cache Creek. Now they've removed, Lucerne has joined the Upper Lake group, so we are now run from Paradise Cove over to the Colusa border and down to Cache Creek Dam. Basically, starting this month, CDD, Community Development Department, is going to start making a series of presentations on the plans. The presentation for our area is going to be at the next Earth meeting on April 1st, which was originally scheduled for the EPA Superfund cleanup, and Carter was gracious enough to move it to May. Thank you. So copies of the upcoming presentation and a link to the documents can be found on the tables. I put those out there. The documents are on the LakeCounty2050.org website under Documents and then General Plan. The East Lake Plan consists of chapters 1 through 7 and chapter 9. They've done it differently this year, where they've put the general plan and the local area plans into one document. Hard copies are now going to be available at each of the county libraries for those of you who don't have internet access or computers but have the money to drive to the library in Clear Lake or Lakeport, Upper Lake, and Middletown. It's really important that everybody here take a chance to review the documents to make sure that our comments that we made from a year and a half ago, that what we wanted to see in our area, have been captured correctly, as the county's going to use these plans for future development. And just at an initial glance, there are errors in there. So I really would appreciate any type of people to take a look at it. There will be local area plan, local area committee meetings, 2 of them, one in person, I believe here in the Oaks, and one online. We will let people know when we find out when they're scheduled, but it should be in March.
And were they going to put, you said there's going to be hard copies at the library. Is there going to be a hard copy on the mobile library?
They didn't answer me on that.
Okay, thank you. All right. And then the LAPAC meetings.
Okay. So as I just mentioned, there's going to be 2 East Lake Local Area Plan Committee meetings, one in person and virtual. These haven't been scheduled, but we understand that last year Community Development held an open house for property owners, included in the recommended land use designation amendments. There were some things that we asked for some of the zoning to be redone, such as we had a number of teeny tiny parcels that were zoned high density residential that you absolutely cannot do. So we proposed that. A few of the property owners have submitted letters of opposition to the proposed changes, and these are going to be discussed at the first meeting, as well as rezone requests. We did request preliminary copies of the letters, but we have only one at the moment, which came from Richard Kuhn. And he's requesting that the parcels on Highway 20 have their commercial zoning retained. We had requested they be returned to their original zoning designations because we didn't want to see strip malls all the way along down there. He has also requested that 32 acres next to Orchard Shores to the wastewater treatment plant on Jensen Road be rezoned to C3 service commercial. This would allow for commercial development such as wholesale sales, lumber yards, heavy equipment storage, and major auto repair. It also allows for light industrial uses and services not generally suited for or too intense for local commercial or downtown areas. Just so you know, 32 acres. If you were to take a look at the Clear Lake Oaks post office and then go all the way down the Big Oak Plaza down to the hotel, and then include all of the storage units behind there. That's 11 acres. So this is about 3 times the size of that. Anyway, that's something that will be brought up, so anybody has any feedback on that, you know, feel free to make it known.
You need to go to the microphone, Steve. We have people online and they watch these videos after, and we get a lot of questions.
And I
he
can't
mention
do the
when he
minutes
was
if I don't
here-
see it.
Didn't he mention when he was here that he would do a planned unit development for that? and
No, that's a
limit-
different area.
No, I'm talking about that orchard off Jensen Road for the, he was said.
You're talking about the storage units?
Yeah,
Okay, yes, he did.
yeah, okay, but so, and that's what you're talking about, that same area, right?
I think it's included in that area, but it's 32 acres now.
Okay, yeah, that's, no, I think everybody here would agree, you can do a temporary storage, because that can easily be removed, right? But to protect.
Not with buildings.
No, I'm talking about the mini storage.
Right.
Yeah, so it was, his concept was to take that orchard and do mini storage fenced in with site-proof fencing, so, and with boat and RV storage within. And he did indicate that he was going to do that under a planned unit development that it basically restricts the future use to that.
Can I just say one thing? He asked that we not talk about the storage unit project at this meeting, so I don't necessarily feel comfortable talking about it specifically, but we did want to mention that now what he's requesting is 32 acres.
Yeah, the C3 is totally inappropriate. I think everybody here would agree with that. But if he was to limit it to a planned unit development, which restricts the use to that, and if anyone wanted to change the use at a future date, they have to come in and get it apply for a rezoning.
Yeah, I think the issue is, I think the issue that's coming up right now is because the general plan is being updated, now is the only time that you can actually rezone your property and not pay for it.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna go back to, he asked us not to talk about this until he's done with his plan, and I think we should respect that until he's working out what it's gonna look like, and he'll bring it back to us when he's
Yeah, I
ready.
think- yeah,
Because
'cause-
there's a lot of moving parts to it,
Yeah.
and I don't want people to get too far ahead if it doesn't play out.
Yeah, well, all right, but
Yeah.
just my comment without needing a response would be C3 is totally inappropriate.
Okay, thank you.
What does that plan do?
What is the general plan and the area plan?
Plan that's begun, when are we gonna be able to see it?
It's not a plan. It's basically, it's a request to rezone the properties to a different designation.
Right, because I know down in Clear Lake, they.
Oh, I need him at the microphone.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Hold on, I
sorry,
need you to go up to the microphone, please. Thank you. It's not our
I know reading some of his proposals, he's, and I was reading back on them, and he had 2 alternative sites that are already C3 zoned. And the increase to 32 acres, that's quite a jump, okay? And I'll agree with the gentleman that was over here, C3 is inappropriate for our area. But I have a problem with Richard, because he's made statements that he has had conversations with the Orchard Shores Homeowner Association leadership about the proposal that he's put in front. And unfortunately, none of us know what he's talking about. And so I think I read in a letter that you sent back to Richard that one of the things that E.R.T.H was trying to compel him to do was to have a discussion with the community. So that we were abreast of what he's trying to do. And it very much appears like the goalpost is being moved every couple months, all right? And we just don't know, and the impact to the community looks like it's being just left out because we don't have an input yet. So I'm kind of curious as to when his proposal or redo is going to be available for us to look at it and have a discussion on it, because frankly, I think, it's very disingenuous that he has told E.R.T.H in writing that he has had dialogue with the homeowners association at Orchard Shores, and he hasn't. So it's
Thank you.
problematic.
Yeah. Thank you for that comment. Actually, if you want to give us your contact information, afterwards, we can keep you informed of anything that we know about and when the meetings are coming up. Or if you want to go to the sign-up sheet back there and just write down and say you want to keep informed, and then I'll make sure that you know.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on, and sorry, 2 items on the agenda were backwards compared to my notes online, so we skipped, we're going back to commercial cannabis report and cannabis ordinance update.
Basically, we received a call from Ryan Wamberg, who's the code enforcement officer for cannabis, and he spent quite a bit of time talking to us. It appears that code enforcement is going to be taking a harder look at all the violations that are going on, such as excessive water usage, no background checks, things like that. And he's going to start going to all the annual inspections just to make sure that everything is being done correctly. And if there are issues, he will put out violations at that moment, and they will be allowed 30 days to rectify it. But he feels very strongly there needs to be a balance between the community, the county, and the permittees. And he very much welcomes any sort of dialogue around that. The only other thing I would say, too, is I am not positive, but I believe the cannabis ordinance update is going to be on this Tuesday's agenda, but we do not have any of the details on it because it's not been posted yet.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Tom, just state your name for the record.
Tom Lasik, question or suggestion on the cannabis ordinance. First of all, yes, it's supposed to be on the agenda for next Tuesday, March 10th. Is it something that, anyways, since you have a relationship with code enforcement, I would respectfully suggest that not just looking at violations that are standard, but also mapping it to their conditions of use. Yes. Right, so one of the things I've observed, and I think you've made comments in the past, that they haven't even received the annual reports. And how does it map to their property management plan where they've made commitments to a certain amount of water usage, aside from what's actually in the ordinances, what things because this is, since they do minimum negative declarations, our only control is complying with the conditions of use.
Yes, we are including conditions of use.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure code enforcement also knows that as well, because it seems that they says, oh, your setback is 100 feet. Well, that's in our ordinance, but not necessarily something says, for example, we're going to have 5 filters on this greenhouse, and they only have 1. That would be a condition of use, not necessarily in the ordinance.
Right. We supplied them with the conditions. Yeah. When we put in the code enforcement complaints, we supplied them with appropriate parts of the property management plan, the conditions of use, and what else? Annual reports, annual reports and annual inspections.
Oh, that's great, yeah, because
so they know that, yeah.
Yeah, they seem to be sticking in one lane before. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll move on to our ongoing project updates. So I have the EPA, the cleanup site. Carter, Jess, if you want to go on up.
Hi there, yeah. As Holly mentioned, I'll be back in May to give a full update. I'm sorry, my name's Carter Jessup. I'm EPA's lead project manager for the Sulphur Bank Mercury Mine Superfund cleanup. I'll be back in May to give a full update on the project, but I figured since I need to be here at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, I might as well come to today's meeting and be here to support the folks from UC Davis. I also wanted to use this opportunity to give you just a very, very, very high level update and also kind of solicit any input you might have on how I might focus the material that I present to you all in May. So EPA is moving forward with the cleanup. I think I was here in 2023 2023 or 2022 to present to you all very conceptually what the cleanup would look like. We made our final cleanup determination in November of 2023. But that still is pretty high level. There's a lot of detail that needs to go into how we implement this roughly $100 million cleanup action. So the first phase of the action is the residential cleanup on the Elam Indian Colony and in the neighborhood immediately south of the mine site. That's moving forward. We expect to begin earthwork in August of this year, targeting completion before the end of the calendar year. It's possible some activities might need to slip into the spring. We're very actively working on the design of the on-mine portion of the remedy. We expect to have to move in total about 1 million cubic yards of earth in order to successfully consolidate these contaminated waste piles and prevent them from the public being exposed to them or the environment being exposed to them and being subject to leaching and runoff into the lake. So we've been collecting geotechnical data, chemical data. We've been figuring out our materials handling and sourcing, all the engineering details. So as far as focus for when I come back in May, a couple topics to throw out that I'm considering including in the materials, and come grab me after if you have particular interest, would be related to vegetation clearing. Unfortunately, most of the footprint of the 200-acre mine site currently, maybe a little over half of it is heavily wooded. Anywhere where the trees are growing on mine waste, that vegetation has to be removed. We can't install caps with trees in place. So roughly 3,000 acres in just 3,000 trees in just the first year of work, and that's 1 of 3 years. Will need to be removed. Materials handling, hauling, traffic-related concerns that you all might have, I would totally understand. Questions related to the contracting, how that contracting process works, what opportunities look like. Dust and noise management, absolutely these are all things we're working on that I have substantive updates I'm happy to give, but I don't have all the time I don't want to bury you with all that we're working on. Protection of historic resources, we're working really closely with the tribe, the Lake County Historical Society, to make sure that the historic site of the mine itself is recognized and protected, and that the tribe's archaeological resources are preserved. And then revegetation. What's the site going to look like afterwards? I hope by May I will be able to have visualizations of what it's going to look like midstream and what it's going to look like when the action is actually complete relative to how it looks today. So. Feel free to grab me after if you have any of those that are of particular interest.
Thank you.
Where's the fill coming?
The waste is part of the fill, so we'll be using waste to contour the slopes, and then we need about 250,000 cubic yards of clean material to on top of that. We are hoping to be able to, we're evaluating right now exactly how much we can generate on site. We have 2 borrow areas within kind of the mine footprint that are non-mine waste, clean areas that are just adjacent, that are owned by the same entity who owns the rest of the mine site. And so we are aiming to get about 200,000 yards there. And then the other 50,000 would be other types of materials that need to be imported.
Is that Dennis Bluth's property?
Not Dennis Bluth's. So the Sulphur Bank mine and some of the surrounding properties are owned by the Sulphur Bank Redevelopment Trust. If you look it up on like a parcel map, it indicates Tom Connolly. He's a trustee who is the manager of that trust.
So Carter, can you give us any information? Well, I know you've been in contact with Holly quite a bit, but if you have any of like these resources that we can put on the website to
Yeah.
to kind of anticipate because you are coming, just so everybody knows, Carter will be back in May to give us a bigger presentation. Like he said, he just wanted to give us a quick update. But if any of like the renderings, if you have everything ready so we can put it on our website
Sure.
afterwards. Thank you.
This is something that.
And yes, and he did
That's
just
left
give us,
back there.
there is a form at a glance, if you guys didn't see this, did you leave some on the table?
There's a stack over here, and we've got
Okay.
some more. So those
Yeah.
are like a fact sheet summarizing the formal decision that was made in November of '23, and so it's from that we're now getting all the details.
Okay.
So that still is a good sort of
Base.
preview of
Yeah.
what's coming.
Okay, and we'll put this on our website. All right, thank
Great.
you. Chuck, did you have a quick question?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Once you are through with the cleanup, who will be maintaining it after that?
Yeah, thank you. So the site is what EPA calls Fund Lead. The Bradley Mining Corporation and to a lesser degree the Bureau of Indian Affairs were potentially responsible parties. They've settled with the Department of Justice and so are no longer really in the picture. It's now the cleanup is being fully led by the federal government and paid for by the federal government. For sites like this that are Fund Lead, the state of California has a 10% responsibility for the initial investment in the cleanup, and then 100% responsibility for the maintenance of the remedy. So once it's all done and we go through a certification process with the state, we hand it over, and then the state will take over the management of the site.
All right. Well, thank you for that update, Carter. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on. So what is, so anything on Klaus Park?
No, there's no update on Klaus Park right now.
Okay, county and agency project updates?
This community development project list, we did just get that this afternoon. I took a look at it, and there's no new major projects in our area, at the moment.
Okay.
I do have something from Donna, who could not be here. She's stuck at the airport picking up her daughter, who came in late. So she asked me to read about the Clear Lake Oaks Revitalization Project. So Phase 1A was recently funded by the Blue Ribbon Committee for the Rehabilitation of Clear Lake. The first phase will run through early 2028, and it enables the team to gather information and community input necessary to guide restoration and rehabilitation efforts for both Schindler Creek and the Clear Lake Keys. This project's being led by the Lake County Resource Conservation District in partnership with local organizations and technical experts. The project team is in the process of developing a project webpage that will contain additional project information, including benefits, meeting materials, and a place to ask questions and provide feedback. And she said, stay tuned for opportunities to contribute to the conceptual design development via a series of community meetings. The website is going to be up this month with more details, and once we find it out, we will share the link on the Earth website.
All right, thank you. And then Sterling is not here, so we don't have a Spring Valley update. So we'll move on to Supervisor Crandall's update.
Hello, good evening. Let's see, where do I start? I'll start from this bottom of my list. March 31st is the delinquent tax sale, so that'll be happening March 31st. If you need to go and put a bid or look at anything that's online, go to www.govease.com. And if that's what you want to do, is buy a property or put a bid on one, that's how you do it. Let's see, rent stabilization. We met last week. We're meeting again this week. Something should be coming like within the next couple weeks, but there's just a few more things. With the resources that we got from Hillary Mosher, we're trying to put things together so that we can, when it comes to the board, it doesn't get stalled out, if that makes sense. I know it's stalling getting there, which is frustrating for a lot of folks, but want to make sure we get something in place, and so we have a really good plan for that. I know that Record Bee keeps reaching out to me for a comment, but again, my stance is to protect the residents, and so I don't want to give the owners a chance to figure out how to, well, they've already put you guys in a position where they raised some rates, and it felt like it was retaliatory. So I don't want to give that opportunity again. We'll be meeting this week, and I put together one of the resources that we got from Hillary Mosher. What I mean by that is an ordinance, so I'm trying to collaborate the perfect one, or one that'll be palatable, if that makes sense. So, and I'm gonna push forward, like I did before, as most stringent as possible. So if someone else comes up with their own version, I'm coming up with the one that benefits you all more. That's been the stance that I've taken from the beginning. Let's see. So yesterday we passed the budget, mid-year budget, and One of the highlights is some funding for, there's some grant funding from CNRA, and they all have to do with improving the lake. One is improving restoration efforts at Clear Lake. We're talking about a lot of things that are being put in position for the lake as it is. So I'm going to be asking Water Resources and whoever is dealing with, this is pretty much Water Resources, how they're going to apply it and whatnot. So that way, if there's ways to conduct projects that can, benefit these areas, I'm going to see if they can put some of these towards it. That's one of the things we always look at with the keys. They usually get a specific amount from the discretionary funds for our district when it comes to the Primrose and how it's affecting the whole lake, but mainly their area as well. So some of these, I want to see how we can apply some of these grant funding towards things like that. So there's quite a bit more. It looks like this grand total is around $6 million, but again, we have to see how and what the scope of the work is. A lot of times what happens is people will hear that number and say, well, why isn't this creek bed cleared out then? I want to find out how we can apply that, but because the funding's there doesn't mean it's a discretion thing. It has to go along with some of the scope of work and whatnot. If there's ways to utilize it, then we'll find out that those solutions. Let's see, I had another thing we did yesterday. We talked about this situation where the auditor, controller, tax collector, assessor brought forward a discussion about recouping funding that was paid out to the districts from the past. They brought forward a plan to pay back the funding in like 3 years or something like that. I felt the county should absorb the cost because what it was, for example, like North Shore Fire, I want to say roughly was around 30,000. I may be wrong, it might be 60. Either way, they wanted to put North Shore Fire in a position to be paying 20,000 a year. My stance and my statement was we should absorb it because that, to me, if that takes place the way it writes, I feel like it's going to affect the ratepayers, which is you, even more. So I hope we absorb it. I hope it goes from there. We had a long discussion about it. They're looking at, they said they were going to look at something else, and it really wasn't an actionable item yesterday, but we spent a lot of time talking about it. We did talk about the CDD loan payback item. There was also 3 options given to us. Apparently others felt the same way I did, which was that neither 3 were optionable. There's other things to be looking at. They're going to be finding a consultant to look into this and help us figure out a plan forward so that CDD can not only operate in a position to where it's serving the constituency, because that's one thing I don't think a lot of us liked about what was on there is if we kept it the same way it is, a lot of the services that are required, PRAs, just help desk, things like that would have been affected. So we're going to be getting a consultant to look into how we can maximize, and I think honestly there's other ways to maximize without having to cut those services. So, and we'll go from there. Let's see. I don't really have anything on Potter Valley project right now, so I don't really have an update for you as of to that right now. I think that covers everything that I wrote on my list, and I'll stay for questions if need be, because I see we're at. Good thing we don't have the Wimpy burgers anymore, because then everybody just would be ready to. But anyhow, yeah, I'll stay around for questions.
All right.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Okay, move on to new business. Any new business? No? Okay.
Tom Lasik. I'm up here now as a member of the PEG TV governance. Just a couple things to note for Earth. One of them is there are Brown Act changes this year that are coming up. So I don't think it's going to impact this town hall as much as maybe perhaps some others. But one of the things that we are looking into is changing the technology. We still have our next meeting is in April. We'll know more about that. But As you know, Zoom has been quite difficult. There's more gray hairs on Thomas's head now than there were earlier this year. So I just want to let you know that might change from, say, a Zoom to something else like Microsoft Teams or Meeting. Don't know yet. If we do it, it would be a pilot. We're not sure if it will solve the problems, but just to give you a heads up that might be coming down. And when it does, we'll let you know.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more new business? All right, Kathy, go on up and state your name.
Kathy Garner. Remember, we're having our crafts fair at Nylander Park Saturday, so we want to see all you there.
What time is it, Kathy?
I think 9 to 5.
I think it's 11.
Like 9 to 5
Is
somewhere.
it 9 to 5 or 11 to 5?
Oh, is it 11? Oh, okay, thank you, 11 to 5.
11 to 5. Okay. Thank you, Kathy. And then we have Betsy. I see you online. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks. I just wanted to say that this is the first meeting of Earth I have attended online through the PEG channel. Thank you so much, Thomas, in which there have been no sound problems, and the video is excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas is wonderful. Thank you, Thomas. Everybody, yeah. He doesn't even have gray hair anymore. It's just all completely gone now. All right. So we'll move on to our next agenda item is announcements. Anybody have any announcements? I think we had the craft fair announcement. Is there anybody else? No? All right. Seeing none, then we will go ahead and our next Earth meeting will be Wednesday, April 1st, right here at the Moose Lodge from 4 to 5:30. And with that, we will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for coming in person and online. Thank you.